This is Darth Vader. You are listening to the Zach and Andy Show, Episode 7, which means you are a part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Also, I am your father. Roll the theme tune.
Zach and Andy Show, the only place to go to hear a couple of guys giving shitty advice about the music industry.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Zach and Andy Show, Episode 7. We have been going hard at this, and Andy is sick of me.
Yes.
Andy, how are you?
Well, Zach, it's wonderful to be back as ever. Episode 7, we're eating Zach's 3-year-old macaroons and drinking some fine tea. And today we're going to talk about, Zach, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about social media for the modern musician.
Social media for the modern musician. How about that, Zach? That's a snappy title.
It is. And I think that there's a lot to it. This podcast, we're going to do our best to try and cram as much information in as we can and as much real life experience that we've both had.
Real
life experience that we've both had regarding this topic and why social media it's a vital role for the modern musician, but why it's definitely not the sinkhole. Like, it can be a sinkhole if you let it be as well.
A sinkhole.
You can get sucked into it.
You can get sucked into it like a vortex of pain.
Yeah, a vortex of pain. And on that note, Andy, we're just gonna kick right into this one here. Now,
can you clear up the macaroon thing? Why they're 3 years old?
So
why they've been in your cupboard for 3 years?
My lovely partner got us some snackage to go here with our beautiful tea because we just need. Didn't dink it.
They're good. Oh, you got to. Why'd you say dink? You dunk it. You don't dink it. Who says dink?
I made a mistake.
They're so. No offense to you and your partner. You know they're good macaroons, but they're so stale. I mean, they're 3 years old. I don't know why these have been in the cupboard for 3 years.
Because you forgot to eat them.
You can hear the crunch. Look.
They came all the way from Paris as well, which is great.
That does nothing for me. Anyway, let's get back on topic.
I'm sorry that you've been there before. I haven't been there.
You haven't been to Paris?
Not yet. I'm missing out. I'm going next year.
It's a beautiful place.
It is. I'll go next year.
One very wide pavements.
Really?
Yes.
Point of knowledge from Andy for this podcast.
Wide pavements, people. There's lots of room to do sightseeing and walking around, and it's a thing. It's a thing,
awesome.
Guys. I will say this: social media, it can be a very powerful tool for the musician.
Mm.
It can be a pitfall, as we said, mentally. Have you noticed? Before we get into it, Instagram have recently got rid of the like count on a post. Yeah. So you can no longer see how popular a post is, on the face of it, which I think, what do you think of that?
It's a really controversial kind of thing because I know that, like, having a specific podcast episode talking about social media, there's a lot of people out there that it's actually affecting in a bad way because there are a lot of people who have gone out of their way to get themselves into a position where Instagram is actually a source of income for them. And, it may end up being their full-time job, running a business and utilizing Instagram as their main form of advertising. So this could be an interesting way to see how it affects those individuals. But for everybody else, I think it's really good. And I feel like there's a lot of detail to go into why, and it's definitely relevant to this particular podcast. But the first thing is that it's going to start to weed out the tastemakers, so to speak, that are not actually putting out quality content. I think
quite possibly. I think it's good because no longer are you just following. I think there's a psychology of seeing a post that has 50,000 likes or 5 million likes, and then you just going, oh, okay, I'll follow the crowd and click that. And I think it's more like you're actually, you're going along and you're looking at content that if you actually appreciate it, you're going to click like. And it's just, I don't know. It's more for me. It's that whole social media can be nice, Zach. I think social media can be like a real fucking mental disaster sometimes. And, posting something up, checking, it's only got, 5 likes, or it's only got 50 likes and it hasn't done as well. And now it's just like,
Yeah, definitely.
just put your stuff up, leave it, let it be. Stop worrying about the numbers. It's all a popularity contest. It's a really dirty game when you get into it, actually, social media. It makes me feel dirty. Even if I work hard on something, a video, and then I post that video. And I've worked hard on it, and I think positively of it. And then suddenly, as soon as it's up, I almost just feel empty inside, and it's kind of this... It's hit or miss. Sometimes you can actually... It can affect your mental state. If you're posting regularly and all you care about are those numbers.
Definitely.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, it's weird though, because there's a lot of studies and science that's gone into looking at how social media affects people, and it's very real that there's a lot of new developed anxiety and depression for people that has only been around since social media has been...
Think about social media for a second, right?
Yeah.
How long has that really been around? Of course, we had like MySpace back in like 2003 or something. I don't know when.
Yeah, but social media in the form that it is right now is sort of between 7 to 9 years, I think.
Yeah. So in the way that it is now, which is literally, it's fucking replaced TV. That's how big it is, I think.
It has. It's definitely replaced
TV.
TV.
That's what you did. You watched TV back in the day. Back in the 90s, it was just, or early 2000s, I think you just watched TV. And there was no such thing as getting your phone out. I mean, phones didn't even have internet back then. They were just a phone for a start. Or maybe you played Snake or something like that, But
a phone was just a form of communication. It wasn't
How about those guys that had the phones in their cars?
Oh, yeah, man.
The car phone douchebag.
Car phone, yeah.
I remember I got picked up from school by a mate's dad because we were getting picked up together. Obviously, it was nothing weird.
And he had a nice car.
And he had a nice car and he couldn't wait. He pulled over before dropping us like 5 minutes from the school. He pulled over and made like a dentist appointment. And it's like, you couldn't fucking wait. This is 1995. So this was a big deal, man. This guy had a fucking phone in his car. I had a phone in my shower.
You had
in Bristol in England, yeah, when I lived in England.
What, in case you were suddenly in the shower and you're like, I could really go having a chat with that school friend.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like the phone would ring and I'd be like ready to press answer, and then like it'd be my dad, and I'm like, I don't really want to have a conversation with my dad when I'm naked in the shower, so I kind of left it at that.
Isn't it weird though? But you think about that, right? But then think about like all of the people now who have. I don't do it myself, but I know people who will take their phone with them to the bathroom to get ready in the morning, and then they'll have their phone sitting outside the shower, or sometimes even sitting in the shower whilst they're having a shower. And
it's an addiction.
It's actually really very unhealthy.
Yeah, and I think I'm one of the few people who detest scrolling through. I don't do that. I use social media quite selfishly, honestly. And
just a tash.
Yeah. I post my own stuff. I promote myself and what I'm working on. I kind of just get it up there and I leave it to the gods of social media. I'm not one of those people who would just constantly be filling the gaps in their day scrolling through stuff. I don't care. I don't care what people had for breakfast or someone arguing some fucking something about something that doesn't matter. And it's just, I don't know. I'm not one of those people. I'm not an influencer. I'm not like an Instagram influencer, but I use it as a tool to promote my business, which is what we're going to talk about today, right? We're going to talk about how to use that, not to just hit like on a bunch of random people,
but how to actually
push your own products and promote yourself. Yeah?
And I think the thing to take into consideration as well is that, like you say that you're not an influencer when it comes to your social media and Instagram and all of that kind of stuff. But I definitely say that it really depends on what you describe as an influencer as well, because in the past, and funnily enough, from very recently, that would be accurate to say in the past, that was then based upon the numbers game for people. But now, because the other thing to point out is that different social media platforms have different ways of responding and different like accuracies on how effective they are. And at the moment, the facts are in that Instagram is the most like if you do something through Instagram, it's far easier for it to be effective than it is on the other platforms, generally speaking, at the moment.
Okay.
Well, it's a lot easier than it is on Facebook, at least, that's for sure. YouTube is a different beast, and I definitely am going to let Andy lead the way on that one because he's had the most the most experience with that. But the thing to think about when it comes to Instagram is that influencers is always dependent on the like game now. But because people, except the person who actually has the profile, can't see how many people are actually responding to that, it's now going to be about who has the best message or the best content. And it's not going to be about the like game anymore.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I
still think
hopefully.
I still think it will have that kind of the exponential growth factor of if you have 1 million likes on something, it's going to be shown to more people because there's that. I think it's a percentage thing. It's almost, I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Instagram, your stuff gets shown to like 10% of your followers.
Yeah.
And there's another thing is if you're followed by a load of fake accounts, you're better off getting rid of if you can block those accounts or delete those accounts, they're taking up some of that 10%.
They definitely are.
And they're not going to be commenting or anything, and they're not going to be engaging with you. So actually what you want to do is have, hardcore fans who give a shit and will connect with you and maybe buy your product and,
or at least interact and be somebody who's, who wants to be there for some kind of meaningful reason.
I think those big posts, even though we may not be able to see they've got 5 million likes,
Yeah.
I think they will still do better because they'll be going to more people because they've proved themselves on that level on the algorithm. I fucking hate that algorithm word. Everyone's throwing that word around now like they understand the science behind all the cogs of the machines of social media, and it's just such a fucking cliche word. So I want to avoid that word, honestly.
I don't really care for it anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess
They've changed their algorithm. Did you hear they've changed their algorithm? You didn't fucking know what the algorithm was before. Just post your shit.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think probably my main point on that was less about the people who are already there with, somebody who's got enough followers that when they post something is getting 5 million likes doesn't need Instagram to succeed, basically, because they're already they would be so well known on a more public basis.
Yeah, but unless that's where their fame came from and that's how they...
But even then, there'd be enough people to interact to get that many response from that much response from a post on a regular basis. That person's got to be quite a public figure already, because that amount of responses, it's very hard to pull off on Instagram. But either way, they probably already have quite a large YouTube following and all of that kind of stuff as well. So
potentially, I don't know. I think there are some stars. I use that term loosely. I think there are some people who just do Instagram and nothing else. I think there are smarter people will do everything, a bit of everything. And that's something I wanted to talk about was these days, there's no excuse. If you're in a band or you've got any kind of business, it doesn't matter what your business is. Let's just talk about music now. But honestly, any business or art form, you've got to be on every platform. There's really no excuse these days. It's so easy to promote yourself. Yes, it's hard to stand out, but you really have to be pushing your goods on every platform. So you want to have an Instagram, you want to have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. You want to probably be on Bandcamp if you're doing the music thing as well. Even though Bandcamp will take a cut, I think you're probably going to be left with about 80% once Bandcamp and PayPal take their bits.
Which is still worth it.
But it's still worth having it because some people might, even if you sell your album on your website, Bandcamp, some people may only find you via Bandcamp. So it's important. I think YouTube's important. Even how many albums have you come across where you just accidentally found something on YouTube and you listen to the full album or you listen to a song on there? If you're not putting it on there, you're losing potential followers and potential buyers
Yeah,
and, you know, fans.
Definitely. I would say that there's probably about 50 artists that I have found through clicking on something on YouTube that's connected to another thing that I'm looking at and going, you know what, this sounds like I might give this a crack.
Yeah.
And then, or this looks really cool. Or the music's great too. You know, like all of those things. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing to realize is that if it depends upon what you are trying to pull off, because everyone's trying to do something different. Some people have a very clear message that they don't want to flood the market with, you know, what they're trying to do. But you know, those are sort of more few and far between. Talking about sort of more artistic kind of musical projects, etc., where they have a very specific approach to how they promote themselves. But generally speaking, you're kind of right on the money there to say, and this is a good way to us, I guess, to sort of start actually talking about the topic at hand involving musicians and music and social media together, which is, when it comes down to it, people, unfortunately, right now, I just think that it's really hard to actually get people to pay attention to creative things these days because they are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, there's too many of us doing it for a start.
Yeah.
Everything is, the perceived value of it is nothing. So everyone expects it for free and everyone just assumes it's going to be there. We've kind of touched on that on another podcast, but yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to stand out, but I think one of the biggest ways to stand out is to realize that people want to invest not just in the product, not just in the music, but in your personality, right? So, looking over at the screen, is there a problem with the recording, Zach?
No, it's all going fine. It's
Okay.
just something that I've got to do, but we'll fix it up. No problem.
Okay. Are we good to carry on? Should we take it to a break?
No, we'll carry on.
One thing I want to mention is this microphone is wobbling like there's no tomorrow because it's balancing.
We can
table.
rectify that. You know
We can
what?
rectify that in the break.
I think what we'll do, we might go have a quick break.
We're going to need a break. This is a disaster, guys.
No, it's not a disaster. No, it's not a disaster.
Episode 7, we still haven't got our shit together.
We are totally fine.
3-year-old macaroons. This is a joke, Zach. There's one left. You have it.
Sure, done deal. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll just cut to commercial because that's what we do. But when we come back, we're going to start to talk about.
I think we need to talk about the personality thing and talking about comedy, letting people into you. If you're a personality, you got to let people in. That's the key thing.
You definitely do.
Let people in.
Talk about different ways to get people interested in your music that you maybe didn't think about. And also, more importantly, ways for you to discover how you truly actually want to be representing yourself on social media. And yeah, I think we'll roll with that.
All right, Zach.
Let's do it.
This is, you're listening to the Zach and Andy Amateur Hour. And let's fix up these technical problems and we'll be right back.
Done.
I was working on the farm one late evening. I remember it really well. I got in a combine harvester and I started ploughing the field, you know. Then suddenly out of the woods, this big black bushy bear came out. I had my shotgun, mind, so I blew his bloody teeth off. And I buried it behind the shed and had my supper.
George, we just had a call from a neighbour saying their dog's gone missing.
A dog? I don't know nothing about no dog. Come to think of it, it was quite a dark night. I should probably go have a look. God, you're not joking, mind. It's only a bloody golden retriever. Oi, Marge, me lover. Pot the kettle on and get the neighbours over. I got some splaining to do.
There's nothing you can't get through with a country brew.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Zach and Andy Show. Technical problems have subsided for now. And we are back with episode 7.
Yeah, we are
coming in
back.
hot.
We're back. We're ready. We're fired up. I'm still getting through my brew.
My brew is stone cold. I've got an inch. I've got a cubic inch at the bottom of my.
You've got a cubic inch
at the bottom of my mug, I should say.
All right. Okay.
And I'm not going to drink it because you know,
You're going to defy the brew. You're going to defy the brew.
I'm not
Andy,
drinking that.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
not drinking that.
That's fine. That's fine. I thought that we were brew bros, but that's okay. No problem.
Dido wrote a song about this.
Yeah?
It's a thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Seriously, guys, we're talking about social media, how you can utilize it, how it can fuck your life up mentally, and just, I don't know, maybe we can throw some hot tips at you. If we know any, we're not experts. We never pretend to be experts. We're just a couple of mates having a chat.
Exactly.
And we decided to film it and put it out there. If there's anything useful, excellent. If not, then, whatever. Give us something to do on a Sunday.
But mostly send us a hate.
But send that hate through.
Yeah.
Mainly to Zach. Hate mail is always accepted. Zach is always ready. You're ready for that, aren't you, Zach? You've been ready all your life.
I have been ready.
My life.
That's fine. You're just going to start singing on the podcast.
On my way here, that came on in the car, and I was just like, damn.
You had to
I had to air
too.
drum it. It was a thing. Anyway, right. Social media. These days, honestly, it seems to be more about the personality. People want to buy into your personality. They want to know the person behind the music. They don't just want to hear the music. It's not like it was in the 80s or the 70s even, or maybe even the 90s. It's not like that anymore. It's not like, I think it used to be this big the mystery of this composer or the mysterious band, and they're all looking, cool and dark and handsome, and maybe they very rarely give interviews, and you're like, I want to know more about this guy or this girl, and now it's very much, I need to know absolutely everything about this person in order to invest in them. It's the game has changed. It's not how it used to be anymore. You need to be an open book in a way, don't you?
You do. And it's also, it's quite controversial. It's quite confronting, especially being, somebody who's sort of out there talking, or showing, yourself to people in a very public forum, which social media is, obviously. But it's also very, I guess, we're very lucky as well, because you can definitely, if you find, those people out there who actually have a lot to give, we're really privileged as well. We've got the ability to be able to get information and insights into, creative processes, psychological processes, anything involving, some things that you're passionate about. And it's just a click away, really. We're very lucky.
But we are lucky. It's a different time. It's not how it used to be. Subscribers on YouTube, that's like the new mailing list.
Yeah.
It's like that's like the new fan club. And you've got Patreon and stuff like that, where you literally it is a fan club. But if you look at, even 10 years ago, you just had these like Metallica fan club, and maybe they'll send you a poster every year, and you're paying money to be involved in this kind of thing. Now it's kind of like, guys, just hit subscribe, and you're in the club, and you get alerted to our content and stuff. Very useful tool. I still think the email mailing list is a great tool, though.
It is a very good tool.
People neglect that.
They do, but
I've heard that it's
No, it hits home. I've actually been doing a lot of research into that recently as well, because I've got a lot of entrepreneur, podcasts and resources that I like to look into, because it's, for me, I find that stuff quite interesting. And all of them, they keep hammering home how important email really is, because at the end of the day, there's something professional about email. Something about it that still has that kind of like, oh, this is a bit more official kind of.
And also harder to ignore, I feel.
Yeah.
Whereas just another spam Facebook thing is easy to ignore. Some guy invites you to like their page. Oh, here we fucking go again. Talk more on that in a minute, actually, because that's
We will.
interesting. But yeah, I think you're right. And I think, again, it's just tapping into everything. Why not throw a mailing list on there?
Exactly. And you should definitely still treat, I know that social media and email aren't always necessarily treated in the same bag. But an email list really is, it's another form of media for you.
Yeah, it's
As
almost social
a-
media, isn't it? Emailing, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. It's just a different different form, and it can be a lot more official as well, which is kind of useful if you have something really, really important. Say for instance, you've got a new music video that's coming out, and you really want to make sure that people spread the word. Well, a great thing to do is if you've got an email list, is to send everybody out a free option to be able to stream the song ahead of time before it becomes available. And then the only way that they can do that is they sign up on the email list, you know, and then to sign it, you put in on your social media, they sign up to your email list, then they get a link to be able to stream the song, which is awesome. Then when the music video comes out, bam, they get an automatically generated email with the copy of the link straight to YouTube. Then they can just click on the email, go straight to YouTube, and you know that they've gotten it. They've already listened to the song because they signed up for it. So the chances are they're going to watch it on the video on YouTube as well. It's a
good tool, powerful tool.
It's a win-win.
It's another way of keeping people in the loop of what you're doing. Keep the news alerts. You know, I'm working on a new album. Well, you know, it's like any advertising. You bring out a new film. You know, if there's no advertisement for that film, no one's going to know it's happening. No one's going to give a shit. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to listen to it. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
You were talking about, I guess the big thing is people are interested in personality. So
Yeah.
roll into that a little bit. How has personality affected you when it comes to your social media presence, Andy? And what tools have you utilized to, I guess, be able to show the real you out there to people?
I don't know
on
what
social media?
I don't know what the real me is anymore, Zach. But honestly,
He's very jaded.
I am. No, honestly, you know, everyone who follows me knows I'm a musician and a big lover of music, and I write all kinds of genres for all kind of mediums, and all, you know, I play multi-instrumentalist and all sorts. But also at the heart of it, I don't like to take things too seriously. I've always done a bit of comedy, and I think that
Just a touch.
I think that's honest. I know I don't take things too seriously. I don't get down about social media. I don't care about the public, the kind of popularity contest. You know, of course I want to be popular, but I'm not posting 10 times a day and that kind of stuff. I do try and do some funny videos. I get a kick out of making people laugh. And that's another thing that drives me really. And that's turned out to be a really good thing for me, that I think I've got that extra thing that people are like, you know, they're able to enjoy a bit of comedy on the side. And I'm never creating a personality. I'm just being me, honestly.
Yeah.
Which I think is even more effective. I don't think you should put on any kind of persona, honestly. I think you should just be you and let people in. I would rather watch John Petrucci take a shit on YouTube than play a guitar solo. Like these days, you just want to see people doing normal shit. And you're like, oh, that's John Petrucci. Oh, he takes a shit just like everyone else. Wow, that's awesome. Like I was on YouTube the other day and this pop-up came up for like, Ola Englund, I bought a house. And I'm like, okay. And before I could even think about it, before I could even question whether it was a good idea to watch this video, I'd clicked it and I was 15 minutes in to Ola Englund signing the papers to buy a new house. What the fuck? Why would I give a shit? But here I am watching another man buy a house. I should be watching this guy play guitar, but I'm watching him buy a house and it's just great. I'm like, this guy's buying a house.
Yeah, and
just fucking,
it's because you're kind of, I mean, obviously you are a little bit invested in him as a person.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just people doing real things. It's real.
It's real.
It's
yeah.
real, dude.
Real, baby.
And obviously a lot of people know me for the vlogs I've done, especially with the band. I've probably since about 2015 I've been vlogging every tour I've done, more or less, with the band, and also doing my own little mini vlogs and all kinds of stupid videos. And you know, it's fun. I don't do it because I think I'm putting on a fake thing that people are going to buy into. That's never it. I think just be yourself and have fun. But comedy is a huge marketing thing because people are more likely to watch your stuff and listen to you and enjoy what you're doing if you don't take things too seriously and you can make them laugh along the way.
Definitely. And I think the thing that works really well for you is the fact that all of that stuff comes naturally because you're not trying to fake any of what you're doing. And that's the biggest thing that a lot of people out there who are either struggling or have found a little bit of success, but then can't back it up, is doing something that's not you.
Yeah.
Now, it's different if you're trying to experiment and still trying to find out what you are good at or how to express yourself.
How to put yourself across.
How to put yourself across. That is different. I'm not saying that you should not try new ideas. I mean, we try new ideas every day. It may not necessarily seem like it to other people, but I'm always finding that I'm trying to do something different, not because I want to stop being me, but because I want to find out, different ways that I can still be who I am, but also try a different approach when it comes to that. And
well, honestly, I'd say some people are better in front of a camera than others. Of course, some people can talk to a camera better than others and have a kind of presenter kind of vibe. And I guess, that works for me when I do those vlogs. But I think anyone can do it. If you're just looking into a camera and just saying it as it is, anyone can have a conversation with someone they trust and they know. And you just have to become friends with the camera. And one thing, Rob Chapman, very successful guy, he said that you just need to be a caffeinated version of yourself. Basically, just imagine you've had 5 cups of coffee and get on the camera and just talk shit.
Yeah.
People are gonna find something interesting in there, I would hope. At least with what we're doing.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is if you're quite young and getting worked up about, how well your social media is doing and how well things are going for you when it comes to the image that you're trying to present and all of that. Take this with a grain of salt as well. Maybe you just need to have a little bit more life experience.
Yeah, there's that too.
Like,
and find maybe, you haven't really found yourself almost. I think that's when you get older, you kind of settle into yourself and you just go, I tried this and I tried that. I kind of have a better idea of who I am now.
Definitely. I mean, I had no idea what the hell I was doing 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just, it's all an experiment. But as things go by, you have more situations that you can draw on where you go, well, that failed and that didn't fail. So I'm going to do the thing that didn't fail and then try something new on top of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was about 15. There's a video on YouTube. One of my first ever videos. I was about 15 years old. It's about 15, 16 years ago now.
Awesome.
And it's like the same shit I do now, which is hilarious because it's just basically outtakes of me screwing up. And it's funny. And I left it in because it was funny and it kind of hit home with people. And I guess I got some kind of buzz from that and I've gone, yeah, that worked. And I kind of just want to inject a bit of comedy and a bit of fun. Have some fun with it, Zach. It doesn't have to be like this fucking hiding behind this cool, shrouded, mysterious figure like other bands were in the 80s. It's just not like that. Nobody wants that. Look at Matt Heafy. Matt Heafy makes more money now from Twitch, playing video games on Twitch and writing songs on Twitch than he does playing for Trivium.
Exactly. But
because people are more interested in fucking who he is than...
He's a very, very interesting person because he's spent, a lot of time and a lot of effort to go into, getting himself to where he is, physically, mentally, creatively. He works.
I'm going to put on the video. I'm going to put a picture up of me and Matt Heafy when I was about 15. When I met Matt Heafy, for the first time when they toured on the Ascendancy tour. It's hilarious. I have long hair down to my nipples. It's
down to your nipples.
It's bizarre. Yeah, I'm going to throw that up. It's probably bam,
done.
All right,
there we go.
Crack on.
But yeah, the point is that he didn't get. He's looking longingly at his tea, people.
Yeah, it's still cold.
We'll have to later on when we have another break. We'll have to fill that one back up again.
Yes, please.
It's Sunday morning here, and I'm still feeling a bit rough.
I don't think we're caffeinated enough. Honestly,
I don't. But this is a cool topic, so I'm still happy to roll with it. But the point is that Matt Heafy is a great example of somebody who has a lot going for him. He's very talented, but most importantly, he's always himself. At least, and especially now within the last sort of 5 to 6 years, maybe a little bit earlier in Trivium's career, he was still finding himself. He was very young.
I have no idea, Zach. I don't know. You sound like his dad right now.
Look,
How do we know?
I talk to Chris about all of this kind of stuff all the time because he paid Chris from Monolith plug. The producer that I get to work with a lot, and he's a good friend of ours. He's a massive Trivium fan, and he's gotten the chance to tour with Matt Heafy and stuff. So he's tried to pay attention to what he does for quite a lot because for him he's somebody to aspire to, in many different ways. So it's interesting to see. I've been a fan of them for a while, probably not as long as this guy though.
Well, I mean, I was a huge fan in the early days. I don't know what they're doing anymore. But
anyway.
Definitely a huge influence when I was 15, 16.
To the time when you were doing things.
When recording, playing metalcore and recording. Yeah, it was obviously it's been a huge influence on me.
Definitely.
But the point to keep fucking banging home is just be yourself, let people in, let people see not necessarily everything. Of course, I don't want to necessarily watch John Petrucci take a shit. It was just an example, guys. But
calm down, you wanted it.
Some people might say that the last Dream Theater record was basically him taking a shit. Boom!
Oh, that is
I'm joking. Actually, it was a really good record. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
calm down, mate.
No, it was fantastic. Big Dream Theater fan, guys. Big Dream Theater fan over here.
I prefer Opeth. Oh,
it's two different things. Love Opeth too.
Yeah.
Have you heard their new song?
No.
It's I don't know if it's a return to form. It's got great stuff going on. I just feel like I don't think I can quite get into the latest kind of the prog rock stuff that they're doing so much. I miss the old days with Opeth, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was all about Watershed, and
Okay, yeah. I mean, Ghost Reveries, probably.
Yeah, Ghost Reveries, and what's the one? Not Blackwater Park, the one before that with Face of Melinda. What is it? It's not Melinda.
No. There's Damnation.
Still Life.
Still Life. Yeah, Still Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Orchid. Couldn't really.
I wasn't
because of the production.
I wasn't a fan of Orchid, but I guess that's probably
that's the hardcore fan. He's the hardcore
Yeah.
fan when you see him wearing an Orchid hoodie, and they're just like unaware that album is so unlistenable production wise. But no, I mean it's great writing. It's great writing wise. I just wish that's a great podcast. Is like I don't think it happens so much anymore. We're going off on a tangent again, but that a band with just the fucking worst recording going, is that even a thing anymore? That even a new band's new first demo these days can sound like a better polished end product than even 15 years ago.
It definitely
an established band's album.
It's interesting because you look at all of the studios back then, which we're talking about the 90s basically, and what had to happen to be a like professional, higher tier level recording studio for heavy music was you just had to have so much money to be able to get there, that there were a lot of these studios out there that the producers were really good, but the gear was just outside of their reach. So they had to make do with what they had.
It's all this big analog equipment, these big consoles and tape and racks and racks of stuff. Now you can do it all on computer pretty much.
You definitely
and you can do a better job a lot of the time than going to paying a lot of money for a studio with an engineer who can't be fucked. There's a place in Bristol, I'm from in England, that a studio, I'm not going to say the name of it.
Throwing them under the bus.
I'm not going to say the name or not. But every Bristol band would go, and we're talking when we were like 16 and we were all in bands, and every band in Bristol more or less would go to the studio and get their first EP made, right? And it'd just be a guy who didn't give two shits about, he just wanted the money, right? He was charging them like, I don't know, £300 a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And the results were shockingly bad. To the fact that I was making better albums on my 8-track at home. Exactly. And this guy's got like this whole studio, and the band's like, this is the only way to do it. I was like, no, it's not the only way to do it, guys. Think about it. be smart, get your own shit together, and you can do a better job because you're going to put more love into it than this random guy
Yeah.
who's just raking in all the money.
How many of the studios in, in Sweden, creating the Gothenburg sound, how many of those at the time when they were actually starting that had all of the shit hot gear? A lot of them didn't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until some of those records started to do really well that they could actually afford it. And
Yeah,
all
and
that previous stuff, they just had to make do with like a console. Like they might have a half decent console, like a nice Tascam 16-track console, but then like they didn't have the greatest, outboard, like to have their outboard effects gear. They might have just like the average eventide outboard effects gear and all that kind of stuff.
You probably agree that it's probably less about the equipment and more about how much the producer, the engineer, the guy mixing it cares and how much they want to put into the project.
Definitely.
And how they know how to use their gear. So I was a whiz kid, on Logic back in the day, 16, 17, 18 years old. I was able to put an album together that sounded better than people who were recording in studios and paying an arm and a leg, because I knew how to use what I had, and not the other guys not necessarily know how to use a console that costs as much as a house.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
massive segue, but really cool, interesting stuff.
We should talk about that in another podcast.
We definitely actually will. I am, Andy, you can just write that down.
I'll write that down in the breaks.
Okay, cool. So something that we're going to bring it straight back into the topic at hand. Something that a lot of people do know, but even we do know as well, but we don't follow through on it necessarily as much, is how often you post, how often you need to post if you want constant growth, and when and where. And all of those different things are huge different segments inside themselves. We'll try and condense it as much as we can.
Yeah, and again, like we don't know everything.
We certainly
I hate to
do
use
not.
the word algorithm again, but look, there's everyone's got their own idea of how Instagram, Facebook, YouTube works. Everyone, you'll go on, you'll try and do this research, and you'll find a million different people. Someone will say, "Oh, you shouldn't post something as a draft and then publish it because that fucks with the algorithm." You don't know that. Come on, like no, you may think that. I know people who post stuff a certain way, and if it doesn't do well over a couple of hours, they delete that and they'll wait until a different time of day. That's a bit more reasonable, I think. Posting, depending on where your fan base is, I think timing of your post is definitely relevant. And a great thing about social media, of course, is that you can look at the analytics and you can find, country by country, how many lists, how many people, how many fans you've got.
Yeah. I mean, there's tools out there. There's third-party tools that, will actually go so far as to analyze down to the hashtags that you use and down to the country, you know, and the time as well.
Yeah, and not just the time of the post.
Yeah.
So the timing of the hashtag, which is something we've both learned recently from a contact of yours. So, so basically, posting. I probably have a bigger following in the States and in Europe, and, in the UK and stuff, rather than Australia, which is where my base is now. So I'll aim to, and sometimes agonizingly, I'll wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to get a post out that I think will do better in those parts of the world. And I do see that. So if I post in Australian time, like 7 p.m., not many of my biggest fan base will see it. And I know that because I've seen the breakdown of where people are from. And I know that most of my fans are from Europe and the US. For you, it will be different. It'll probably be most of your fan base would probably be from locally. I would assume from Australia,
currently,
right?
Yeah, at the moment, mostly in Australia, mostly probably more like the east coast of Australia or in Adelaide.
So timing in that sense matters. But then there's this recent thing which we've discovered, which is the timing of the actual hashtag you use. So obviously, we'll talk about hashtags more in a second. But if you hashtag, let's just say guitar, right?
Yeah.
Pretty broad. Just an example. If you hashtag guitar at 2 a.m., that may not do as well as if you hashtagged guitar at 2 p.m., right? Because there's more. You can do the research as you can pay, can't you, to get some kind
so
of.
you can get some third party companies that actually will review hashtags running for all of Instagram, and then they'll review different countries and all the way down to different cities as well, if you want them to, and can actually look at the response. So say, for instance, we're talking about hashtag guitar, right? So hashtag guitar, we might say, okay, we're in Australia, so probably a great time to post would be maybe around about 6 p.m. because generally speaking, 6 p.m. people they were coming home from work or getting home from school. They haven't quite gotten settled into having something to eat for dinner yet. Maybe they're still on their way home. Maybe they're still stuck at the last bit of the end of work as well. Or, maybe if they're lucky, they're on some holidays or something along those lines when they're thinking about, it's kind of like a time when people, generally speaking, it's a transitional phase. So what are they doing? Well, these days and age, they're probably on their phone because that's just what seems to be the go. And so if somebody's on their phone, when everybody is on their phone, you're going to have the biggest response for hashtags. But that's only dependent upon where they are in the world as well. So like at 6 p.m. in Australia, hashtag guitar might be 80% more effective.
Yeah, because basically it took me a while to get my head around it, but there are way more people searching for the hashtag guitar. Therefore, you've got a lot better chance, you've got a bigger chance of people seeing your hashtag. Hashtag is basically indexing your post so that when someone searches for that hashtag, your video comes up. So you want to pick a time if you really want to get it down into it when that hashtag is at its biggest, so that you've got a bigger pool of people to hit. But
yeah,
I mean, you could go in so far into details. I think it's more important with the actual timing of the post. But honestly, Zach, recently I've just been like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to post. Just going to put stuff out there.
And that's actually what I wanted to sort of scoot to, is that there's all these people that look into the specifics when it comes to how to post, when to post, where to post, what hashtags to use. The brutal reality of the situation is until you have an established following, and I'm just going to throw a randomized figure out there to say, if you want to say an established following, something like Instagram, let's say 10,000 followers, right? That then gives you a lot of access to other features and things to make Instagram more useful for you.
Yeah, I think you can sell. I think you can like sell things with links once you get to 10,000 or something like that, or you can put links on your stories and things like that, which you can't do.
You can do the links on your stories.
Yeah, stuff like that. So like it opens the game up, doesn't it, when you have
a bit more? Yeah. And it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to push out there. So from 0 to 10,000, which is where we both sit right now, Andy's a lot closer than I am. The main thing to think about is you're out there and you're wanting people to invest in you. So why are they investing in you? And that is the most important thing, because all the hashtags in the world aren't going to get you 10,000 followers if you don't have anything that's worth putting up. And more importantly as well, you need to have a lot of things that are valuable to put up as well. I mean, recently for myself, I'm going through a stage where I'm looking to actually start to deliver on putting out more regular content. And I put a lot of time and effort into thinking about all of the different analytics involved with it. And then something just dawned on me, and I thought to myself, all of these people out there that I have invested my time into, I think I follow maybe about 400 or 500 people. So like not a dramatic amount, but not a small amount. And I've gone through recently and unfollowed a whole lot of people that just don't provide any value to my time when I actually am, looking on the internet. And I look at all the people that are providing value to me, and most of them are creative people, or they're cool personalities that have been of somebody that has inspired me during my time. friends, obviously, and family, because it's always really nice to be able to see what family who doesn't live in the same city that you are, is doing, so that you can try and at least keep up to date with what's going on and interact with them. And when you see them again, you could talk about that experience that you saw, that they, that they showed on their Instagram, etc. But the thing to think about is that if you look at trying to work out what you're going to put up, think about what you like and why you like what other people are doing.
Yeah, so it's content versus quality of the content versus how often you're posting, right?
Yeah.
Quantity versus quality or whatever. And
Well, kind of quantity versus quality, but more importantly,
what relevance?
relevance.
Yeah. I feel like the bigger you get, the bigger growth, the more followers, the more you get away with. So there's some big people I follow who get away with putting up a picture of their mug. Just a picture of their mug, and they'll get 1 million likes. Because another thing I want to talk about is, how often do you just scroll through and hit like on stuff because you like that person? You haven't even read what they've had to say just yet. You'll read it after. But I think a lot of people are just scrolling through. They're already following you, so they're just like, oh yeah, he's cool, she's awesome, yeah, I follow her. Oh, he just really, yeah, that picture looks cool. It's a mug, yeah, cool, you can have a like. There's very little investment. There's very little going on. I think when you get to that level where you've got that following, you can pretty much post what you want. But before then, I think you do have to have strong content.
You do.
And also, if you're not a big Instagrammer who is just posting, literally every part of their day. Like, I know people who post like 50 times a day, and stories. There's always like 10 stories up every single day. I think it's all key, but in the beginning, it's more key to just do some good quality content rather than just spouting shit everywhere and hoping that you're going to get a load of followers for it.
Exactly. And I think the one thing that I've sort of known about for a while, but I haven't actually started to do until recently, is that quality content is the most important thing. And the second most important thing is to be consistently posting. And that is the biggest failing that I think that we're both.
If I only knew, Zach, when I was 16, what YouTube would become, because back then it wasn't such a big thing. I had a big, not a big hit, but I did the Streets of Rage video game.
Oh, I love that video.
Metal cover thing. I did like a compilation, and it's like, it was like 180,000 or something likes. No, views.
Yeah.
Because it's YouTube, right? So it had like 180,000, which is huge for a 16-year-old bedroom guitar player with no albums out or no following whatsoever.
Especially at the time. At the time. Yeah.
And well, maybe then it was a bit less, maybe, but I think now it's coming close to 200,000 or something.
Yeah.
But it's obviously stops growing. At the time, it's like, wow, this is awesome. Then I did like a Sonic the Hedgehog thing. I had like a real video game metal thing going on where I was doing video game covers for a while, and I know a ton of other people do that now. And I know I wasn't the first. It's obvious, but I'm not really trying to say that. I'm just saying, if I had known that the key to YouTube seems to be to post consistently every week in a familiar environment. I mean, look what we're doing now.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we've got it set up the same way. Yeah. Every week we've got it set up the same way. It's consistency. It's creating a familiar environment for people to go. And it's like, it is a TV, it's called YouTube. It's your TV channel, basically.
Yeah.
And you're wanting people to come back every time. And I think the really successful YouTube channels are ones that post at least once a week. They have great content, of course, but it's consistently posting familiar stuff and also letting people in, as we said.
Yeah.
And if I had just posted a video game metal cover once a week, I know it's easy to say now, I could have had millions of subscribers, I'm sure of it. But I didn't know it back then.
But that's the thing, is it's hindsight is fantastic, or not. But what I guess the crux of what we're sort of trying to say is that consistency is key. Find out what works for you in terms of what you're trying to do, and then get your quality content. Probably the best thing to do is when you're starting out is to build a backlog of content before you start releasing things, so that at least you have
You can do that too. Yeah, for
You
sure.
have like a library of things that you want to be able to put out on your Instagram and your YouTube, and connect your Facebook through to your Instagram and throw it on Facebook as well. But I will, without trying to segue too hard into things, I will say that Facebook is useful if you want to have interactions directly with people, but it's not really the place for you to get your growth.
I don't know.
It's not really.
I disagree.
As a musician, it's very hard to crack.
Look, here's why I disagree. Everyone has a different case.
True.
I got friends who are big on Instagram doing music, doing covers or writing their own music, and then perhaps they're not so big on Facebook. Instagram's a bit snappier, it's a bit quicker and easier. It's like, here's my stuff, watch it and piss off, and that's it, done. You've dropped me a like, you've dropped a comment, it's great. Facebook's a bit more involved. I think it's more of a community. It's more of like a forum for people to comment and interact. That's how I feel. Now, I know people who have huge followings who are jealous of me, like friends, who are jealous of me because I have a better interaction on Facebook. I could post something and get 100 comments, and they might post something and get 2 comments. But on Instagram, they might have 100,000 followers, and I have barely anything, right? So it works differently, I think, according to your personality, honestly, and just generally what you're putting out there. I know I've mentioned before Paul Wardingham, who's from Australia, an amazing solo guitar player. He swears by YouTube, and he doesn't think Facebook does so well for him, and Instagram perhaps as well. But YouTube's like king for him. For me, I don't know. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are all about the same, I would say. For me, in terms of interaction and in terms of followers. And
I also think that that works though, because you've gone to the effort to make sure that you integrate them all to sort of have, like, you're not focusing on any of them. You're always focusing on all of them as well.
Yeah, potentially. I think with YouTube, I put up like a bigger project. I wouldn't just put up the 30 seconds of me jamming to something. I wouldn't necessarily put that on YouTube. Maybe I should have been doing that. Maybe. But I feel like those are what lands on YouTube is like a finished big kind of project. Instagram is kind of like literally flinging shit at the wall. If I do a little jam for 15 seconds, it'll go on there. Facebook's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So for me, honestly, Facebook is amazing. Facebook works really well. I've met I've built a good, I think, a strong fan base, not necessarily in numbers, but in the interaction I get from Facebook. So I will go on the record and say that I think any of those platforms you can utilize. Twitter, usually an epic fail for any metal musician. It's not so great for musicians, honestly. But some musicians thrive on Twitter. Yeah. So it's all depending on what you do best, and social media gods. Who knows?
Definitely. But
do it all. That's why I said do it all, Zach.
Do it all and post consistently. Like my personal experience, I found that with Instagram, limit your post to 1 a day. That's my personal experience. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the right answer. That's just what's working for me so far.
All right.
But
with Instagram, I mean, there's a couple of little hints and tips we could probably give.
Yeah, definitely. Let's throw that one in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously hashtagging, it's so important to hashtag relevant things. You can hashtag up to 30 things, I think, at the moment.
You can, but one of the things to sort of keep in mind is, like, with Instagram, there's always the 30 most popular hashtags that are going around, and it's worth trying to include some of them if you can within your posts when you do. But, like, if you're putting up a post of a new guitar that you've gone and bought, don't put hashtag follow for follow or whatever on there, because that doesn't really make any sense to your guitar. Put up like hashtag guitar.
Well, yeah, I mean, it works for some people. I've never done that follow for follow thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, hashtag, be specific as well as broad. I think you've got to spread your bets with the hashtags. You've got to go for the big ones. Maybe you do want to just put hashtag guitar. That might not do so well because it's so broad, but then again, it might do well. You probably want to do really niche stuff as well. You probably want to say, if you're doing a retro 80s metal track, you probably want to invest some time in looking into the hashtag that goes along with that. Maybe there's one that's nostalgia or something that works really well.
Just literally, if you really want to know how well a hashtag's going, literally just when you're writing up the post, just type up the different hashtags that you're looking into, and just have a look and see what it shows you. How many people are actually
the numbers, yeah. But again, about spreading your bets, I think you need to almost. I've heard different things. I've heard different opinions. Some people say that you should pick a number. So let's say you type in hashtag guitar and it has 1 million times that's been used. You might think that's too broad. So you go for something that's like 10% of your following, or 10 times your following, I think it is. So let's say I had 10,000 followers, I might want to pick hashtags that have 100,000, the number 100,000 by them, which means that it's not too broad that you get lost in a big sea of those hashtags.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I say just spread your bets, keep it relevant, and you're probably not going to go far wrong. And, I don't think there's much of a difference between posting within the caption, within the description of the video, / posting the video and then waiting until it's posted and then dropping all those hashtags in the comments. If you don't use Instagram, this might be irrelevant to you. But I think it keeps it neater to smash it in the comments rather than description. Sometimes it looks a bit more appealing.
But trial it and see what works for you, because it might work differently for you. It's all down to the algorithm, as they say. Yeah. But on that note, we could delve into far more detail involving in that. But we have mentioned before that we're not experts. This is based off experience that we've had and people that we know and well.
Although one other thing though, Zach, is we spoke before on another podcast about Spotify and how a great springboard for you is to land yourself on a playlist.
Yeah.
And I think a similar parallel to Spotify with Instagram is to land yourself on a page, on an Instagram page. So specifically, particularly if you're doing guitar and music stuff, talented musicians or, in Guitars Daily and all those big channels, I've had some, I would call them viral. I mean, me and my friend Garrett J. Peters, you may have seen a couple of our videos. We've not just hashtagged, we've kind of, tagged the channel itself or the page, the Instagram page. And if you can get a reshare from those channels, it will just keep going. Let's say talented musicians share it, then maybe Guitars Daily will see that and go, oh, cool, that's good content, and they'll share that, and it can just become a viral thing. That's your springboard on Instagram, I think, getting shared by other pages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth investing into. So I think we're going to shift over and have some wisdom there for you now.
Yeah, even more wisdom, Zach, because this has been already jam-packed full of wisdom. If
jam-packed full of wisdom, between two slices of bread.
Yes, not a fan of jam though.
You're not a fan of jam?
I don't like to mix my sweets and savories, Zach.
You don't?
No, bread is very much a savory thing for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, jam and I don't like everyone pretty much.
But you love a pastry.
Only if it's savory.
Really?
Yeah,
you don't like
donuts.
A sweet pastry?
Most people know by now that I don't like donuts.
All right.
It crosses the boundary between bread and
There's
sweets.
things that I discover about Andy that I feel disappointed in. Anyway.
Yeah, there was an influx recently when I went on the American tour. Some joker decided to post that I love donuts and everyone was bringing donuts to the show because they knew I didn't like them, which was awesome.
How wasteful. Fantastic.
I agree.
All right. So, let's head it on to some wisdom, Andy.
Let's get wise.
Done.
Do you suffer from oily skin? Well, don't worry. I've got just the remedy for you. Get yourself some tomato juice and some honey. Combine that and rub it all over your face. Leave it on for a solid 10 minutes and then wash it off with some nice chill cold water. And then, just to make sure that it's all clean, cover it in bleach. Enjoy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Zach and Andy Show. Andy Gillion here with
Zach Knight.
Yeah, who's losing his voice. We're going to have to...
Yeah, I'm not very well, but we're going to push through this podcast because that's what we do.
He's a brave man. He's pushing on.
We're Not brave. Maybe it's stupid.
You're an inspiration, Zach.
We'll see about
To
that.
everyone out there. Also, this is it's really doing my head in how small this room is. You probably can't see on camera, but Zach is basically sat on my lap right now. My leg has been touching yours the
You
entire
realize the
podcast.
table? This is actually the split middle of the table, right?
Oh,
You've got so much room.
this is too
Because
close.
that was even me just like off mic as well, just talking about how much room Andy has got. But he's a large gentleman.
I am. Okay, let's move on from the knee
one
touching.
ticket for the large gentleman.
So we're going to probably talk a little bit more about the pitfalls of social media. It's an ungainly beast to tame.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it really can have a negative effect on a lot of people. Definitely in the people just scrolling through social media platforms.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but also the people providing the content, so the creatives, as ourselves, I suppose. I don't know, Zach. Do you find there can be some times when you're crying into a pillow because your post didn't do very well? Or?
I don't know if I've managed to get to the point where I've been crying into the pillow. At least with my own personal stuff, with previous band stuff. Yeah, I've definitely like been sitting there going, why is my Facebook ad not working very well? Why is no one checking out our new music
we should
video?
talk about that then as well, because we're talking about social media. You have a bit of experience in actually
paying for Facebook advertising. Yeah, and it's
buyer's remorse.
Yes and no. We've definitely, I would definitely say that Facebook ads for my band has definitely helped get people outside of Australia interested in the band, especially in the US. For some strange reason, the largest amount of people who listen to my band, Color and Shade, plug, are based in the US, followed by the UK, then Australia, then Germany. So I guess I know where I need to tour. But yeah, the majority of that now comes from Spotify, but initially it was from Facebook and promoting paid advertising for film clips. And literally just going through, selecting, the country, and then selecting all of the valid interests. So, for instance, in my case, that was, people who like, A Day to Remember, people who like, Our Last Night, or people who like Beartooth, or,
targeting those.
Targeting people who like certain bands.
Can you do that?
You can with Facebook advertising. Yes, definitely. Yeah. And the thing about it is that you can segment that down, and then Facebook tells you how relevant you are, how broad things are becoming, whether or not you've gotten yourself a wide audience for your advertising. But the thing about Facebook advertising is that it's very good. This is talking about boosting a post, by the way. I'm not talking about other things, because there's many different ways to advertise, and you can also advertise cross-promotion with Facebook and Instagram. You can do advertising for Instagram from Facebook as well, because Facebook owns Instagram.
You can boost posts on Instagram too, right?
Yeah. But you boost them through the Facebook ad manager only for Instagram.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll run through that later.
Okay.
But the thing to note is that not all Facebook advertising is created equally. And some of it is a massive waste of your time and money because it can be very expensive very quickly. I mean, I'm a little ashamed to say it that I have spent over between 2014 to now, I've spent $3,000.
Are you serious?
On advertising.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on music clips, music video stuff, or what you boost?
I've spent $3,000 on Facebook advertising across that whole period of time, boosting different posts, boosting tours.
And the idea of posting is, the idea of boosting these posts is that it Facebook then goes, all right, press a few keys on the keyboard. Now that post is going to go to 10% more people, for example, yeah?
Or people
and targeted people that you've chosen,
people,
right?
People who don't like my page.
I mean,
friends
immediately it's a fucking scam, right? Because they have the power. They're smart people. They've realized that we've got the power for the businesses to invest and to target their audience a bit better. It makes sense. I've never done it. I probably will do a little bit with my solo album that's coming out soon, plug, because I haven't basically because it's advertising, you know, I don't have the entourage or the money to advertise on the billboards you know, but that's one small way I can push my album. And record labels will do that same thing, and I'm doing this as a one-man band, so maybe I will invest in that. I may need to talk to you a bit about that because it sounds like you've got some regrets, and I would love to hear. I would love to hear about them. Do you think it was worth it in any way to do that?
I think it was about half.
The value was half. Yeah.
The value of what I did, or what I learned as well. For instance, out of that $3,000 for a previous band that I was in, the band itself would have spent about $500 on Facebook like advertising. So
and what does that mean?
So basically what that is that's paying for Facebook to promote people to like your page only.
Hang on. So you pay $500 and it...
over time we paid $500.
And you pay an amount of money and Facebook sends people a request to like your page?
No. So what it does is in the Facebook feed and in the Facebook stories and in Messenger sometimes, and you know when you're scrolling through the Messenger to see all of the people you have contacts with, and it might have an ad pops in there, it'll say, hey, click here to like this band.
Oh wow, I've never thought to do that.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the Facebook used to say that they were very genuine. And then I did a bit of looking because you can see all the analytics of who likes your page. And, you know, with the band, we managed to jump from, 500 to 2,500 likes in a month. And I was like, oh, that's really cool for a band that's only released
good growth for a small band. Yeah.
One song at the time, right?
Yeah.
Issue with that was, right, 2,500 likes. Out of that, 1,200 came from Indonesia.
Well, yeah, I mean, not to, we're not against the Indonesians in any way, but you got to wonder, is that your target audience?
Well, it certainly wasn't, because we didn't
and
have
are they
anybody.
Fake accounts,
they were fake accounts because we didn't have anybody. We didn't have anybody commenting or liking from the page.
So Facebook, you paid Facebook to boost a post to a
not
target,
boosting a post.
No, okay, to advertise your page to a target audience, and what you got back with 1,200 Indonesian fake accounts.
Yes, this was with my old band. Yeah,
that's incredible.
So the interesting thing to note is, because I wasn't driving the like advertising, one of my other band members was behind pushing it constantly, right? And for like a period of 6 months, we had constant spending, anywhere between $1 to $5 a day to promote likes from the band, because we wanted to hit a certain target. Yeah. In the first year, we went from 0 to 4,500 likes, and by the time the band was defunct, we were nearly at 7,000. Currently, at the moment, my current band has 1,300 likes. We've never paid for advertising. I know that all of those people are genuine fans of the band, and I'm far happier for that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's not a large amount. It's not a large amount compared to other bands.
No, but there really is something to be said about fucking real people commenting on your stuff and engaging, and they're hardcore fan, they're real fans, they're real people, not some guy in Indonesia who's made 1,200 fucking fake accounts.
Exactly. I mean, like for instance, my band Instagram, right? We've got 480 followers. So nothing to be like, oh, yay, we're super great, right? But we can literally put up a photo of us eating Chinese dinner, as we go out for because we always go out for dumplings for our meetings.
What about Indonesian? Would you ever put up a picture of you eating Indonesian? You might get some more followers. That's
a bad joke, Andy.
You go.
Anyway, going out for dumplings, right? We put up a photo of us eating dumplings. We're guaranteed to get anywhere between 50 to 80 likes on that post. And the reason being is because those 480 people are actually people who like the band and are interested in stuff that we do.
Or they're dumpling enthusiasts, and the hashtag of dumpling is worked.
We didn't even do hashtag dumplings.
No. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Foolish. We should have done that.
Yeah. Another thing to touch on is like invitations, and you know, you see that little flag pop up, and it's so and so is invited you, Andy Gillion's invited you to like his page or whatever, and you're just like, again, really, and I know. And the worst one is when, you know, I'll get a message from someone who has absolutely no interest in being my friend or knowing me or having any kind of business with me. They just add me, send a message, hey dude, check out my band, and it's just like my band's page. I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like I really I get so much of that. And
how many friend requests do you get a day from people that you know that are either in this country or in the US or in the UK or in Europe?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They add you.
Yeah.
They add you as a friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
By clicking on add as a friend, they automatically can start following you, which means they can send you an invite to something.
Yeah.
And then they invite you to their
Immediately,
various creative project.
Yes.
Because for me, it's 3 a day, at least.
there was a time I was getting 300 friend requests a day.
That's obnoxious.
I know, I'm not trying to brag. I mean, it's annoying. And this is another thing we should talk about is that your personal page, your Facebook page that you may well have started out as, I want to keep my family up to date and my close friends up to date with what I'm doing and connect like that. When you're a musician, something weird happens where you kind of, it turns into a business minded thing. And you're like, okay, well, I'm posting, a video of me playing guitar and I'm getting 100 likes on that now. And I'm becoming kind of popular and this weird ego thing happens. And you're like, wow, yeah, people now, okay, this musical beast, this business side has taken over my personal thing. And now I'm like, okay, this is weird. Now I can't just, even if I post me eating a fucking dumpling, 200, 300 people are liking it. And I've got 5,000, which is the maximum friends you can have on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
As a personal page, not a page, sorry, a profile. So suddenly I've got 5,000. I'm friends. I don't know who these people are, mostly.
Yeah.
They're liking everything I'm posting. If I took a shit, they'd like it. And I've got 300 friend requests a day coming in, and I can't sort through these anymore. A lot of them, admittedly, are going to be fake accounts, but you've got to then make a decision. I need to make a page. And if you're a solo artist, this makes sense, because if you're a band, of course, you would have made that band page already.
Yeah.
So there's a point where I was like, okay, I need a kind of artist page, and I think you should do this even if you don't have that thing blowing up of your inbox is blowing up every day, hundreds of messages a day from people asking for you to like their page or see their thing or tabs for this, that, and the other, or can you do this cover? Can you do that? Or just, hey. So many people just message me, hey, and I'll see it a day later and I'll be like,
what is this?
Why? Who are you? What? Like, I have always tried to answer every message I get in depth as well. I try to engage with people, but it gets hard. It gets really difficult when it's not the kind of band page. And I kind of need to, you may well be suffering and almost just like an anxiety thing that you're suddenly getting hundreds of messages from people you don't know every day. And it's just, they just want to sit and have a chat with you, and you just don't have time. I wish I did. I still try and answer every message I get. But when you've got, like, let's say 100 people you don't know wanting to take half an hour out of your day, you're not only losing time and therefore money that you could have been spending that time working on your projects, you're losing time with your partner and your family and your friends and relationships and everything. And it just becomes this mess in your brain.
Yeah, and that is the vortex that we're talking about with social media. And the other thing, the opposite of that as well is that, for a long time and still sometimes I have this problem where I have to physically put my phone in a position where it's inconvenient for me to get to, but I can still hear it. And even sometimes I have to be able to put it so that I can't hear it as well, because I am, I'm wanting to see that I've got people who are talking to me, who are interacting with me. And so I get worried. I have to, every single interaction that I have got available with social media and text messaging and phone calls has to be completed. And then the phone gets put away. And if something pops up whilst I'm completing that, I still have to finish and respond to all of those before I can put the phone away. And so if I'm doing something like, say, for instance, I'm editing some drums, or I'm trying to mix a song, or I'm trying to write a song, or I've got Andy coming over and we're doing a podcast, or, I'm trying to go and make dinner for my partner, or go out to a party with some friends, or whatever. Like, I can't have that anxiety hanging over my head of not responding to those things. So I have to try and complete those things before I get to that task. And that's where you lose time, you get late for things, you lose respect in people when you start doing those things. So eventually I had to cut myself off a limit of, this is the point where I no longer respond to things. This is the point where I say I am no longer available between these hours. These are prioritized for the things. And even I've actually had to say to some friends and say, look, I really get that you want to send me a message talking about that aspect involving, this particular song that you're writing, and how like you'd love to talk about, the chorus part of it. But sending me a message at 11:30 at night on a Tuesday is not the right time, because if you send, I know you've got that idea, so maybe write that down and send me the message the next morning, because even though I won't respond at that time. By sending me that message, you've already triggered me.
It's horrible. The worst thing is getting a message about, anything. Someone wants something, or can you do this? Can you tell me how you did this? Can you send me this tab? Can you, or even from band members, 11:30 at night. Oh, by the way, we got this thing going on. We got this offer. What do you think? We need to sort this trip out. We need to sort visas out and stuff. Anything that comes through, it's like a guilt thing happens where you're just like, I can't deal. It's like a stress overload. I can't deal with this. I wake up and I've got like the phone just goes bing, 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 bing. It's got like loads of messages coming through, and it's like I actually have to set aside time in my day now. Honestly, I don't know if it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of my day every day I could spend working on my craft and working on my albums. How much more productive would I be if I didn't have this going on? And it can rule your life.
Yeah.
And for most people, it's not the messaging thing. It's like an addiction to scrolling through and different things like that. But definitely, sometimes I do wish I could just cut off that messenger thing. Oh, I wish I could be less polite. I'm just too British, Zach. I just want to reply to everything.
You need to take a leaf out of, I guess, some of the people that we know who are really
just don't respond.
Who just don't. No, not so much just don't respond, but just like you set expectations when you have an interaction. It's easier when you're doing it business wise, but set expectations. Like I know, for instance, that like if a client I will always make myself available to clients as much as I can.
Yeah.
But a lot
That's
of
different though. If it's business, you're gonna be like, this is your career and you're making money to live. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Than having a chat with someone in Indonesia because
they like your band or whatever. But there's some crossover, because the other thing as well is that like I'm an advocate for making sure that I'm available for my clients as much as I can. But boundaries are real and they need to be set for people. And it doesn't matter who they are. Like, I certainly know that if I message Andy at 2:00 in the morning of any day, there's a very, very high chance that he is not going to respond to me. And most importantly, he's going to say, why did you message me at 2:00 in the morning? Because that's not good. Like there's a very, very limited amount of reasons as to why I would do that.
Oh, you do it all the time, Zach. Just when you can't sleep and you're thinking of me and
exactly.
I just want to hear my voice.
I want to brew right now.
Yeah, I know. So do I.
But the point is I think the point that we're sort of trying to make is that anxiety and the vortex of social media,
the time sink,
yeah, it's real, so it's very important to try and find what works for you in terms of the way that you deal with social media, the way that you you give yourself screen time and then you shut it off.
Yeah, I don't have my Wi-Fi is off on my phone almost all the time. And I'll put it on to check stuff and I'll do what I need to do and I'll work through it. And that goes away. If I'm working in Cubase and I also have Facebook open in the background,
God, that's a terrible
forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I'm gonna write one note and then I'm gonna be answering some message or doing some kind. Get it out of your head. You did not have this problem 15 years ago. It's a new problem. Guess what? Everyone's got it now. It's taken over. It's the new TV, but it's worse than that because you can take it with you everywhere. And
you can take it while you're having a shit.
Never, exactly. And you never have those gaps anymore in your life. You never have those moments. I can't relax anyway. You know that. I got one gear, right? I'm fucking Charlie Sheen, right? I'm go, go, go. I probably will die young because I can't stop, Zach. I cannot stop. All right.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. We need to. And, but my problem is, that you end up filling the few moments in your day where you otherwise would just sit there. You would just sit there and do nothing. Now it's, wait, I could be doing that. I could fill that with scrolling through Facebook. Great. Oh, cool. Well, you never switch off. And
then your brain actually doesn't have time to be able
brain
to
turns to soup.
Yeah, because people seem to forget that we aren't designed to just run constantly. And that's, things that, well, I mean, look, unfortunately, that's why I'm sick right now because I've been pushing myself super hard.
Music equals perpetual burnout. Unfortunately, unless you're smart and you can really rein it in, you can probably hear that I'm panting right now. I'm trying to breathe because I'm going so hard at it. But I find it hard to rein myself in, and social media in some ways does not help.
No, and I think that sort of moves to something that we've touched on before, which is the collaboration thing. But when it comes to things like this, that in itself becomes very useful because you've also got people who are going through the same situation that you are or something similar. And so it's really easy if you are seeing that you're burning out, you're pushing yourself too hard, you're addicted to social media, start getting involved with people that you know, that you trust, and have them rein you in for you until you can finally get out how to do it yourself. It's hard.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think people may have to start setting themselves times.
Yeah.
Aside little breaks where they can jump on social media and do stuff, but I think it's an addiction. I think it's a global addiction. I think it's an endemic or pandemic or what's the other demic? There's a few different demics.
Epidemic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think endemic is within a country maybe, or pandemic is within a region.
Yeah.
I think it's an epidemic, Zach, which is up there. It's like a scale 10 problem.
Scale 11.
11,
actually.
let's crank it to 11. Yeah.
And the thing is, right, you're talking about switching things off. A cool thing that Chris has managed to get me to do up at my studio is that my computer at the studio is not connected to the internet. And
that's because of your porn addiction, isn't it?
Guilty. No.
Guilty.
Nah, I'm good. Yeah. But my computer at the studio is not connected to the internet, and my computer here is, and my productivity at the studio compared to here, it's not the same.
Rip that cable out, people.
I'm like, I need one of them to be connected to the internet for obvious reasons when it comes to transferring of data, etc. And I can connect the other one to the internet, but the process involves going and getting, a Wi-Fi connector and plugging it in and all of that. So it's something that means it's going to be less desirable for me to just open up Facebook and just be like, I'm just going to have a bit of a check while this mix is bouncing, and then instead, whilst the mix is bouncing and you're thinking, I want to make my time useful while you're waiting for those 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden you've been scrolling through Facebook for half an hour, that's not productivity right there.
Yeah, it's a productivity killer. It's a fucking mental fuck.
Exactly.
It gives you inflated ego, and it's this horrible, dirty game, a popularity contest. And this is my big conclusion and point, really, that I've said a number of times now, is take it a little less seriously. Take it as seriously as you want to. Dive into all the analytics, and there's a lot to be had. There's a lot to be said. It's essential that I think these days that you do social media. There's no excuse. You got to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't let it rule your life, and don't let it kill your productivity and your inspiration. And if you're a small band and you've only got 300 likes, that's fine. At least you're in the game, and you're putting yourself out there. It's free advertisement. It's free You're putting your content out. There's somewhere for your content to live. Do all these things, but don't let it kill you doing them in the process.
And
is my
don't make
advice.
it your priority. Make it something that is useful.
Music is
It's
the
a tool.
priority. The content is the priority. This is just somewhere for it to live. Do everything, the way it should be done. And then let the results be whatever the results are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And treat your success within the scope of your music and what you're doing first.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the success when it comes to social media. If you're doing something good, that'll come. If you're not doing something good and you're worried that it's not good, just go and seek out resources and people out there who you trust and get them to give you the feedback.
Yeah.
Growth is key. It's going to happen. I was a terrible guitar player and songwriter back when I was 15, and now I'm mediocre. So, if you want to be mediocre too, just listen to us.
And there's a couple of little tips I think maybe thrown for new bands starting out, or just sort of explain what I would do, because maybe this is helpful for a new band who's just starting out. They haven't got anything set up yet. I would create a page. Even if you're an independent artist and it's just one of you, I think a page is necessary from the off. Doesn't matter if you've got no followers, if you've only got 5 friends on Facebook. Create that page for yourself, and create the Instagram, create the Twitter, create the YouTube, get your Bandcamp, do all that stuff, right? But on Facebook specifically, a page is important because you don't have the limit of 5,000 friends. You can have as many as you want. It's going to look more professional than just some guy that is posting some stuff. It's a thing. It's a business now. It's an actual established product. And then what you can do, some insider tips, post something to your page, share it with your personal profile. Then share that post. Let's say you did a really good video of you playing guitar. Share that to relevant groups. And this might be the springboard for Facebook. We talked about the springboard. There's a theme running through all these social media things.
Yeah, springboards.
Springboards, Zach.
Yes.
And then the springboard episode. So you've got the springboard for Spotify being that you can get onto playlists and it boosts everything. I'm not sure about YouTube. With Instagram, it's about getting shared by other pages. With Facebook, groups is an amazing tool. You can share from your page to a group. You're going to hit a wider audience of people, but it's also in the niche of what you did. So you might share like video game cover that you did on guitar to a video game group or metal group or whatever.
And also tagging other relevant pages and artists and people associated, within the scope of your post as well.
Although don't be one of those douchebags who tags like 87 people who aren't relevant to their band's thing.
Not a good idea.
No, I really hate that,
really easy way to get a lot of negative response to your post.
I keep getting tagged in stuff that I have no idea.
I've removed the ability to be done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with Facebook, another tip is instead of spamming people with invites to like your page,
don't do that.
You can do that, right? But people are kind of, it's not they're the people that you're targeting. You're not really targeting anyone. It's just irrelevant. So your mum's going to get an invite. Do you really want that? So, I mean, I don't know if my mum's liked my page or not.
I'll say this right now. I've been asked to, I've been sent invites for bands and creative projects. In the last 3 years, I have not accepted one thing from somebody that I haven't known personally and already previously known about the project.
Yeah. So here's what you do, Zach, because there's a way around it, which is a bit less, you feel a little less dirty doing it this way. What you want to do is, if you've got your page, there's a great thing that you can do now, not many people know about, where you've posted this great content and you've got 100 likes and you click on the likes and you can see who's liked it, right? So you've got a list of the people. And then next to that, you've got add friend next to them.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't be your friend on your profile, but they will follow your page. Maybe they won't follow your page.
Yeah.
And what you want to do is next to that add friend, there's another button called invite.
Yeah.
And these people have come to your page and they've seen something, they've liked it already. These are relevant people that could be your fans. That's where I would go and invite those people.
But only there.
Yeah, I won't send out a global thing necessarily, but that's a great tool. Whenever you post a video on your page, you can look at the likes, you can see who hasn't liked your page yet, and go, well, why haven't they liked my page? They liked that thing. Click invite. Maybe they'll like it. You can grow like that. And the same thing, if you're sharing that to a group on Facebook, you may get 30 people who don't have a clue who the hell you are. Suddenly you can invite them, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the guy who did that thing. Cool. He played guitar.
Sounds good.
He played guitar while like lying on the floor, juggling with his feet. I remember that video. I'll like it. Another little hot tip there.
Done. And so with that, I think we're gonna, put an end to this podcast for now. I feel like we've rambled on a lot. There's been a few segues. There's been some disputes about Dream Theater versus Opeth and about production values in the 90s. But most importantly, we hope that you guys got something out of this episode. And if you didn't, please, Andy, what are they going to do?
You can direct all your hate mail to Zach.
To Andy?
Yeah, send it all through.
Send it all through.
Also, as well, questions. We're going to do a Q&A in a second. We do it at the end of every episode. Please send in not only hate mail to Zach, but if you can send in any questions you've got, we'll do our best to answer them.
I mean, you could ask Andy about what beard oil he uses on his beard.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, he's getting luscious. The moustache is actually
That's great.
going.
The moustache, I trimmed that this morning as well.
Ooh,
it was out of control.
proper.
It was out of
Yeah.
control. And I want to leave a little food for thought thing on the
I'm getting
table.
hungry too. That's good.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I want to just leave this out there though before we finish. What the hell is that noise?
It's probably the tap.
Okay. Don't want to leave that out there. What I want to leave out there is I wonder how much social media really is damaging our mental health. Like, honestly, I wonder if in 30 years, are we going to look back and this is going to be in the history books? Like, social media is going to be banned because we didn't realize it's actually completely fucking us up. Can you imagine that? 30 years we look back.
I don't think that that's going to be something like, I don't know that it's going to be like a banned thing, but I definitely do think that in the next 10 years, there's going to be some kind of massive overhaul that happens.
Something's going to change up, I think. Some study's going to come out and go, we've all got brain cancer from Facebook or something like that.
Either that or social media is actually going to end up becoming, it's going to become some kind of machine that forms its own intelligence, and then we're going to just die.
No, it's 100% the Russians are going to be involved in that.
Why just the Russians?
It's always the Russians.
No, that's just because you're English, mate.
No, but the latest thing was the face app thing, and apparently the Russians are collating some kind of collage of faces. I don't know why the Russians need pictures of our faces, but
I haven't done the age app.
There's also a great social media documentary coming to Netflix very soon as well.
What, Black Mirror season something or other?
No, it's I don't know. It's just basically saying how Brexit and how Trump and everything is all responsible. Social media is responsible for putting them into power and for causing these social influences on everybody, and everybody is at the peril and at the hands of social media. The grip of social media is strong, Zach, and we need to fight it. We also need to embrace it and promote our bands.
Exactly. It's a 2-way street or a 7-way street, depending upon which form of platform you're looking at, Andy.
Yeah. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to call this one done. Episode 7 in the bag. Zach, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise, Andy.
Yeah.
We've got to work on the handshake.
We're going to do a fist bump. Nice. I didn't get the memo on that. Yeah, seriously, this is the 7th one of these. Maybe we'll come back and do some more. Maybe we won't. It'll depend on the hate mail.
I think
probably.
there's a pretty good chance that we'll be back. But what we might do is when we come back is maybe we'll have a haircut. We'll see.
Maybe we'll have an actual plan on what the hell we're doing here.
And the other thing as well is we're sort of just going to throw this one under the bus here, throw this one out there right now. But we might actually not just have the two of us on some of these future podcasts. We might actually start to have some other people involved as well.
So what you want to say there is that we're going to try and dilute the nonsense with someone who actually knows what they're talking about.
There's no nonsense coming from Andy. He's 100% no nonsense.
This is pure gold. Yeah,
it's pure Andy. 100% Andy G.
And with that, actually, my initials is Silver, AG Silver.
AG Silver.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my initials AG, Andy Gillion. That would be the periodic table. That would be silver, not gold. AU would be gold. What are you? ZK.
I'm ZCJK.
Okay, there's not. I don't think there's an element for that. We'll work on that one. Guys, thank you for listening. Sorry about the rambling this time and for every other time. And I hope you're with us when we do episode 8, if we do. And probably take it to Q&A now. And,
let's do the Q&A. And just have fun. And just remember, take it all with a grain of salt. Hit the theme tune.
We're done.
We killed it, though.
Yeah, 7 episodes. How about that?
Zach and Andy Q&A. Ask a question.
All right. Well, this is the last Q&A of the series because we filmed Zach 7 episodes.
We certainly
including
did.
this one last year before all this coronavirus stuff broke out.
Mm.
And here we are again. We're not actually in Australia here. We're not quarantined as badly as the rest of the world right now.
No, we're actually allowed to do like a decent amount of stuff. I mean, obviously, there's social distancing is very much a super relevant thing, and being realistic about stuff. But if I want to go and play a game of tennis with Andy, we can.
Yeah, although we are still choosing to do the Q&A from our separate studios today, which that was not really intentional. It just happened that way. So. It is bizarre though, Zach, how this whole we filmed all this last year, but it could have even been a year now since our first episode was filmed, and yet the whole thing has almost like the Q&A stuff has all been in quarantine, hasn't it? At least mostly. I think all of it has maybe. So this has been to the backdrop of the chaos going around in the world, and I don't know. These Q&As almost became like a commentary on what's going on in the world.
Yeah,
quite interesting.
Our commentary on our past selves and/or what's going on in the world and the music industry at this point in time. I mean, gosh, it's so like I don't want to ramble off topic too much, but it's so insane just how different life feels right now versus when we did these episodes.
Yeah,
me,
and it's getting even, obviously, in America. I don't want to go too much into all the politics and everything, but, obviously everything that's going on in America right now is crazy. And, it's just a crazy time for everyone. Really is. And, well, you know what? Here we are. We're still rambling on about stuff. And we had a couple of questions from the last one, so I guess we should address those and then kind of just wrap the 7 episodes up, and maybe we'll do some more of these. Zach, what do you think?
I definitely think we should do some more of these, Andy. I mean, there's so many different topics that we've not even mentioned that can be, interesting and hopefully useful to people out there who, like music or
I do
want
think
to
there's
pursue music.
A lot more to say on a lot more things. That's for sure. I don't know whether we'll continue in the same format in the YouTube video realm because, well, Zach, how would you say that the editing of that has been for me?
I would say that you would probably have preferred to sit down and, I don't know, record a couple of albums instead of having to do that grueling editing that it took you to get done.
So the reason that editing was such a problem for the videos is because for some reason there's a drift in the sync. I filmed them with my GoPro, put them on my computer, and it's not to do with the sample rate. I know that much. I've done a lot of research on it, but I would have to chop every 10 minutes and move the video along to sync up with the audio or vice versa. And we haven't really got that bit down, but it was cool. I wanted to give the video element of it as well, and it just ended up being a lot more work. And I think we could probably chuck these out quicker if we just did the audio. I don't know who is actually going to sit around, who's wanting to sit around and watch us talk, let alone listen to us. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't think we're missing too much by just doing audio from now on.
We can still take photos of the giant mug, Andy, and we can put that, sort of pop that up in the podcast as it goes for people if they ever watch the audio side of it on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff. But or maybe we could make little sound bites that we sort of have that pop up every once in a while. Just say, cue sound bite for Zach drinking some tea.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds good. I mean, look, let's let's touch on a couple of questions here, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. And yeah, I'll just go straight into it. We got a question here from someone called MWI. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. MW maybe. And the question, it's not even really a question. It was almost like just throwing this topic out there. And I think it is quite an interesting one. So I wanted to touch on it. And they're just saying production quality has been increasing rapidly with technology and everything. But the way that people listen to music these days is actually, people aren't putting the vinyl on like they used to. And well, they are, but mostly it's on a phone or on a laptop. On the go, you know what I mean? And if we're pumping so much money into, and well, we're going to touch on that, right? But the studio quality that we have now, even bedroom recordings, the sound quality is so much better than it used to be. There really is no excuse in this day and age to have a bad mix on an album. And yet, the way people listen is on a tinny. Can you listen to metal on a phone, Zach? If you put Spotify on, you start listening to metal, the frequencies are just wrong. I think you can listen to pop music on a phone, but you can't. I just can't listen to metal unless it's through good speakers, honestly.
I got to be honest with you. I can't listen to music in general on a phone anyway.
No, it's an awful way to listen.
Like I can watch videos because it's mostly dialogue. But if I'm talking about watching a video, I'm talking about like, something off YouTube, like might be like a gear review or a cooking show or something like that. Like I'm not going to sit down and watch a Netflix episode of, I don't know, whatever TV show that I'm watching. Space Force. There you go. I'm not going to watch an episode of Space Force.
Is that good?
It is good. It is good.
Oh, yeah?
We can touch on Space Force.
I might check that out. I saw an advert for it.
Yeah, it's definitely like slow black comedy though. It's not like it's not just like laugh out loud, all the time. It's a little bit more going on. But anyway,
but right, you're not listening. You're not sitting down. You're not getting the audiophile vibes from a phone. Okay, you need good speakers. You need good headphones, right?
Yeah, and if I ever listen to music on my phone, it's always through headphones. And honestly, it's fantastic listening to music through headphones. And I think, like, I don't know. Is there more to the question, by the way, or?
Well, not really. It was just the idea that we're now able to create such good sounding music, and yet the average listener is listening on $5 earbuds, or they're listening on their phone through Spotify. And it's kind of an interesting thing. And I bring up Protest the Hero because they've brought out some new music recently, a couple of singles teasing the new album.
Oh, yeah.
And the first thing I noticed was the mix. The production was, dare I say it, Zach, lackluster. And I think what they're trying to do is go about it, strip everything back, because I think they did this big crowdfunding thing. They went to the most expensive, studio in Canada to get everything for the last time. I think it was Canada, to get it produced and everything. And that last album, it sounded phenomenal. The last two things they did actually sounded phenomenal. And I think they've tried to really strip it back and be like, yo, we can just do this in our bedroom. Like we can do this in our house, cut the bullshit. Let's get these songs out quicker. And the music is the meaningful part. The production, we don't need to spend a bunch of money. But to me, being an audiophile and being someone who puts so much time and effort into making the music and the production and, actually sound good as the composition, it fell flat. And mainly the vocals, I think they just sounded like he's singing under a duvet.
It's really quite strange, especially considering how incredible a vocalist he really is.
Well, I mean, yeah, and how big a band they are. But I do understand it, and I do respect their decision, though, if they're trying to strip back and go for a less financially dependent approach to recording music. Because at the end of the day, we shouldn't depend on chucking loads of money to produce art. It should be natural and organic and stuff. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I mean,
want that polish.
I'm sure that you probably know I have a substantial amount to discuss about this particular topic. The fact, being that I am actually a producer and mix engineer myself, that's my main job. And that I also actually might run my business out of a room that's about the same size as a bedroom. And yet, I guess, and I'm not trying to big up myself in any way, shape, or form, but I'm a prime example of a small budget and a small workspace can equal a high quality and professional, mix and production that will give people something that they want. And it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. So I would say that I don't necessarily think that if people are ever concerned about saying, I want to get a production done, but I don't want to spend a lot of money, that they can't get a cheaper production done and still get a fantastic production and fantastic mix. Now, with that in mind, there's a few key factors that are the main things to think about when it comes to that, which, as you are probably aware, obviously, Andy, it's all well and good to go and get yourself a cheap production. But if you want to get a cheap production, there's a limit to how cheap you can go before it loses the ability to sound good. For sure. But I would say that, in terms of the way that people are consuming music and the way that technology is currently going, that it's available for us to be able to create music and then have it made sound incredible, the technology is working in our favor right now. I mean, I've been talking to you about it, and it's not going to be a secret when this is out anyway, but I'm in the process of creating my first lot of drum samples available for people out there, as is, a couple other people that I know as well, a couple other producers who are fantastic producers, and they're going to be making, and they're already made, they're releasing that kind of stuff as well. This is all stuff that's going to be out there for people to use in a super cheap and super user-friendly way for them to be able to have professional-sounding drums super quickly. And then I'm going to create and release a whole bunch of videos explaining to them how they can do it using stock plugins that they have in their DAW. Anybody who's trying to create music has a DAW. I mean, even if they're just using Reaper, which is free.
Like I said, there's just no excuse. It's so cheap. It's so easy to and the information's out there, which it wasn't. It wasn't 15 years ago. The amount of information we got now is ridiculous.
It is, but it's about the problem that is going on right now is that everyone has option paralysis. There's all of this gear and all of this gear available. There's all of this presumption that people feel generally that if they want to make a song, they need a lot of expensive gear and they need to hire somebody who is super expensive to produce it for them, and then they need to hire somebody else who's super fantastic at mixing. They need to pay a whole bunch on really expensive mastering, and they need to spend a lot of money on creating fantastic music. It's not true. It's plain not true. You can get music created for an affordable price. An affordable price is not necessarily saying that you can get a song that's going to sound super, super awesome in the world of heavy music, and you're going to pay $100 for engineering all the way to mixing and mastering. To give you some perspective, in our country, here in Australia, if you wanted to go and get a professional quality recording for one song, just I don't know, like a metal song or a punk song or something like that in heavy music, you'd probably be expecting to pay anywhere between $800 to $1,500 for a professional quality mix, depending upon whether or not you wanted real drums or program drums, basically. And that sounds to me like about a reasonable price. I don't know about you, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're talking about Aussie dollars there.
Australian dollars, which are far
Nobody
less
really
than
knows
American.
what that. I don't think anyone really knows what that's. What price did you say then?
So about $800 to $1,500 Australian.
Is that to record everything as well?
That's to record everything with another engineer as well, and editing and mixing and mastering as well.
That's around $1,000 US, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can, but I honestly, I really stand by recording everything yourself. If you can get the gear together and the know-how that you can track the album yourself, DI guitars that can be reamped later by someone who knows what they're doing, knows how to dial in a good tone.
And you can program up your drums and give them to whoever's producing or mixing your record and say, "Hey, this is my drum MIDI. Can you take these and create?"
You can.
You create.
Yeah,
the drums.
or if you've got a good drummer, you can record just the drums at a good studio and then send those drums to a different guy to mix. I mean, with Mors Principium S, with my solo album stuff, I do everything myself, and then I send it to Plek at the Panic Room in Sweden, and he mixes and masters it, and it sounds unbelievable. And I'm not going to tell you exactly how much money we spend, but I can tell you it's probably a lot less than you think. And I can take care of everything else myself, and it arrives with him, and he just makes it sound good. And you really don't need a lot of money. You can get something done cheaply these days if you just put in a bit of work yourself. And every time we post a picture on the Mors Principium S page, album coming out, and it's my monitor and my shitty little monitor and my tiny little setup with just a PC and Focusrite, and there's a few comments, and it's I'm a bit worried about this. How is this going to sound good? And it's like, dude, I recorded every album this way. I've recorded every album myself through this almost identical setup to what I have now. And
I mean, your solo album is probably one of the best modern music productions that I've heard in the last 5 years. I mean, that's not trying to big up you. That's just how I feel. I feel like it sounds
honestly,
that strong.
I had to, like, when Plek sent that to me, the Never After masters, I got them back, and I just laid on the floor with my headphones on, and I just listened to them. And I literally, I think I replied to him, and of course it's tracked well. Guitars are tracked tightly, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sending that off and then getting something totally different back and being like, I think I said to him, this could be my favorite, mix ever. I mean, really, it just blew everything out of the water. The production and for an independent album is quite unbelievable. So yes, it can be done, people. It can be done.
It certainly can be. And before you jump over to the next question, Andy, I kind of wanted to, I guess, sort of give people a little bit of perspective on, I guess, in my opinion, why your album sounds so good, and also why it is totally possible for anybody, so long as they are able to play their instrument and sing, whatever they need to do, if they're doing both or whatever, to be able to get something within the scope of what they're trying to do that is relative to what you've done. So I guess the thing is that the biggest factor that we didn't really go into, which is probably the most important thing, is the fact that you actually, even though, you're obviously, your main thing now at the moment is a composer and a producer, you also really know how to engineer yourself very well. And that's something that you've had a bit of advice on, but you've worked out as well over, what would you say comfortably, you've been engineering yourself for 10 years now, at least?
I would say, honestly, about 20 years.
So there you go.
I mean, I've been recording myself since I was 12, so almost 20 years.
So you've actually been engineering technically for longer than I have, which is quite a funny thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been recording music. I've been recording even drums since I got my Fostex 8-track, and delved into the world of music production. Yeah, I was probably 12 years old. Yeah.
I've been engineering for about 18 years, Andy. So you got 2 on me, mate. So well done. But the thing to note is that a massive factor of why you're able to get things to sound as good as you do is because you know what you're doing when it comes to the engineering, and you know what things are supposed to sound like at the start, so that Plek can then make them sound the way that he has made them sound. And those are probably the most important things to take away from this. So there's a lot of resources out there to provide to people. on how to do that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that if you wanted to know more about any of that kind of stuff, if you hit up Andy or I, would be able to help. But for sure, I would say that has probably the largest impact on, I mean, besides obviously well-written songs.
Yeah, I think the arrangement. Yeah, getting a good recording is the most important thing.
It really is.
Comes before anything else. Yeah.
But it is totally achievable at home on your own, and you just need to go and buy yourself a basic interface with a decent preamp and be able to have a computer that you can record it into and have a good instrument.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you're good. And you don't even, and now this is a harsh thing to say, you don't even have to track the bass if you don't want to.
I mean, it depends. You might not even be tracking anything. You might be doing some EDM or something, and it's all there. It's all there. The options are there.
They are.
Make pretty much anything sound good these days.
Yeah, I mean,
let's move on though.
Yeah.
Zach, we'll have to move on now because this is becoming another episode in itself. We got another question from Jerp or Jerpe.
Jerpe.
With a J. I don't know. Jurpe. Thanks for the question. Why is rap music so popular and do you like it? Well, I do like a bit of rap, actually. I don't know about yourself, Zach.
Well, I can answer that question quite simply to say that I'm actually now producing rap and trap.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
So, yes, I do like rap and trap and, all of those kind of, I mean, there's a lot of different subgenres and all of that kind of stuff. Just as many, if not more than metal.
We have an episode on of the podcast on genres, and I think we kind of touched on the rebellious side of music, the political side of music, and obviously rap music is a huge movement for as a culture as well. And there's just so many reasons that's popular.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
so many reasons that is such a.
But yeah,
go on.
I was going to say, no, I've probably liked rap for 20 years now, I'd say. But I definitely think that in a funny, weird twist of fate, that it was actually heavy music that got me into rap the most. And that would be new metal.
Of course.
Because new metal is my favorite kind of metal. So.
Yes. I mean, look, new metal was a huge thing for most people our age, probably, who are into metal now. I guess I've been in. I haven't ever said that I've been into rap, but I've always listened to a bit of Eminem or whatever was kicking around at the time. Obviously, the new metal phase and Body Count. If you haven't heard that band, you've got to go check them out.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, Ice-T is the man.
He really is, and not a bad actor either.
No. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much that. Not gonna go too much more into it, because that's probably another podcast. So Zach, 7 episodes.
Yeah.
What have we learned? What have we learned about ourselves, and what have we learned about podcasting as a whole? Was it a good idea?
I will say that it was a good idea, but I will say that we have learned a lot about podcasting. I initially somewhat convinced Andy that this would be a good idea on the premise that it would be easy.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much how you said it would go down. Look, it was easy. You can certainly chat for days. I can chat for days.
Yeah.
Put us together with a couple of mics. We're going to chat for a long time. And, hopefully some kind of useful information came out of the drivel. But the hard part for me was editing all this stuff together. And then we decided to pretty much create a brand of tea that's non-existent and create adverts. And it just got a bit crazy, didn't it, Zach? It got a bit silly.
It kind of did.
I kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
We put our stamp on it, and in the video editing just took it out of me with all those cuts. Got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Got to figure that out, Zach.
That sort of, I feel like, was the thing that you You lost a lot of love for it for a period of time there.
I lost a lot of years of my life.
But I think the main takeaway from this is that anyone who wants to know, the rumors are true. Andy and I are actually starting up a country brew company. And we're also potentially thinking of making a sitcom as well, involving some of the characters. So
This is the first I've heard of it, I have to say. But I'm on board, Zach. I'm on board.
Yeah, so we're going to try and see if we can find some people that we know that can, play important characters, such as the dog that went up the mountain, and little Jimmy who fell off the skateboard.
I'm just thinking back to when we recorded these on a late evening, and it just got so strange so quickly.
It did.
But look, Zach, I got to say, man, it's been a pleasure, and not ruling out doing any more of these. We probably will just do audio from now on, though, if we do. And it's just something that I wanted to do, and it's something Zach definitely wants to do and is continuing to do. And Zach has other podcasts as well that you should go check out. For me, it was one of the very few things that I hadn't yet done. I quite fancied myself as a podcast host, so figured why not give it a go. And, I would have to say, looking back, these episodes are too long and we ramble too much. There's no doubt about that. But you got to know this isn't for everyone. So not many people have time to listen to the podcast. It's not something you can just quickly, everything's like 30 seconds, go, attention span. And podcast isn't for those people. Podcast is for people who, either they're driving to work or they need, they want something to listen to that lasts longer than 30 seconds. And, I just feel like, every now and then you'll get a comment. And of course, this isn't for everyone, but it was a pleasure to do it with you, Zach. And, here's to several more if we get there. Hopefully people are still listening.
Yeah. And I think we kind of smashed it out of the park a little bit in certain different ways. We wanted to provide something to people that was informative. We wanted it to be fun. We wanted people to be able to, sort of get a bit of a better and deeper understanding of the way that Andy's mind works. I feel like we were successful there, and we've got a lot more to share. So don't be surprised if in the not too distant future you see a fresh episode of this podcast turn up. Just, don't be surprised if it's all audio, because it will be. And whether or not the episodes are maybe probably closer to sort of half an hour or 40 minutes long, because
I think honestly we can aim for an hour. I think 2 hours is too much.
Yeah.
For most people. I listen to podcasts. When I get into a podcast, and I don't have much time these days, but when I do get into a podcast I really like, I want it to last long. I want it to last a long time. But, Zach, nobody needs to listen to you and I for more than an hour. Nobody
an hour is long enough.
Yeah,
an hour is a decent drive, or a Sunday morning when you're deciding you wanted to chill out a bit before you go and do some things in the day. It's long enough for your mind to sort of relax, and what better way to relax than listening to Andy Gillion?
Well, I can think of better things, but we're still going to be here. So if this is what you decide is a relaxing time, chuck us on. We'll have a little chat. We invite you in. We're letting people in to our lives a little bit, and hopefully we've offered some insight into some actual factual musical knowledge that can help you and improve your whatever your musical projects are and whatever you're doing musically, or maybe just you fancy having a listen. Hopefully we provided something, Zach. I think if nothing else, it entertained us. So thanks for coming along for the ride, and it's been fun.
It certainly has. And I guess on that note as well, if you ever have any questions for us, please feel free still to just chuck them in for Instagram or YouTube comments, etc. If you ever have any recording questions or anything along those lines, don't be afraid to ask me as well, because I'm happy to help, and I know Andy is always available to try and answer as many questions, but I'll probably sometimes be able to help when it comes to a lot of the recording stuff as well. And if you guys have anything that you need to know, let us know. And most importantly, I can't thank you enough for listening, especially considering I talk a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that people have listened to these episodes, and I never take that for granted. I appreciate every one of our listeners, whether it's music that we're making or the ramblings that we create on this podcast. So thanks, guys. Appreciate all your support always. And in these crazy times, I just hope everyone's staying safe and staying positive.
Definitely. Everybody take care of yourself. We're going to take care of ourselves. And I wish you all well. And I feel like we're going to sign off on this episode, and you'll find out soon enough when the next one is.
Yep. Oh, sounds good, Zach. I'll catch you later, buddy.
All right. Bye.
All right. Cheers, guys. See ya.
Herein lies the problem. You're taking up the fucking whole of the undercarriage of the table.
Quite the fan. I made a mistake of not dinking it beforehand.
Dinking it?
Dunk. Oh, you ready for this? Pump it up.
We ain't got pumped yet. Imagine if we put that music on every time. Alright, you ready? Hit my nose on it. Alright, you ready? Fucking do this shit. You ready?
Yeah, good
Don't
job.
touch me. Okay. Don't touch. Seriously, don't touch me. Hey guys, welcome back to the Andy and...
That is great.
Let's go again. Here we go.
Yeah, okay. So, here we are. Episode
Well, that's
numero
better.
7.
That's
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's not a better intro.
Fine then. Show us how it's done.
Also, numero.
Numero.
How many Spanish fucking listeners do you think we've got, Zach?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
any
like the
Spanish
third time
people.
you said that. Right.